Thank you for joining us on yet another Tuesday night from the basement of First Amendment Sports Podcast Studios. I am Ken Marangolo, and this is Thank God It's Tuesday, and Thank God It's Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. And I am once again joined by two of the best Tuesday night basement celebrators this world has ever seen. Starting on the top left, he's Tim Strachan.
Love Tuesdays, man. Love Tuesdays. That's when I know it's the right day of the week. And just in case anybody's wondering, I just wanted to make a statement tonight.
Okay.
I do all my own stuff.
It's a hell of a statement, and it is. If you've seen this man water skiing, you would know that there's no one that can do it like he does it. And just on the bottom side there, Brady bunching it. On the bottom left is Kevin Ricka, Pride of St. John's. Good to see you, sir.
And Ken, good to see you too. And don't forget his most special talent, the penguin front belly side with the arms folded back up, straight downhill, fastest downhill sled rider in East Kensington. Facts.
Do not stand at the bottom of the hill and think you're going to catch him.
Gotta get the arms really wide out like that.
Yeah.
That's how you, for balance.
You make that mistake, and when he comes down, you think you're going to bear hug him into a celebration situation at the bottom of the hill. Guess what? You got a concussion on your hands, possibly some broken bones. You're definitely missing work the next day.
That guy's built for speed. Get the hell out of the way.
Want to welcome all of our friends over at Hogs Haven. We are, of course, the official Redskins podcast of Hogs Haven. Man, if only there was some Redskins news to talk about these days. I mean, in a world of global pandemic and unbelievable civil unrest,
Well, in that case, guys, thanks very much. It was good night. Thanks.
And we're out. No, it still is Tuesday, everybody. Still is Tuesday. All right, so you know what? I figure we're going to get right into it and talk about what is on everybody's mind tonight as a Redskins fan, and that is this. Screw you, Asante Samuel. Don't you dare come talking about Darrell Green, 19-year Hall of Fame Washington Redskin, who is, by all accounts, the man, one of the greatest who ever played the game. If you don't know, now you know. And you don't know, sir, and you are a fool, as B. Mitch piped up and said on social media this week. For God's sake, Asante Samuel, could you sound dumber on social media than calling out Darrell Green and asking the question of why he's considered a great? I mean, for goodness sake, what is wrong with you, sir?
Well, he hasn't even relented. He keeps coming back with stuff.
He's stupid.
He couldn't hold Darrell Green's jockstrap for longer than 5 seconds in the Hall of Fame locker room. He's chirping up the wrong tree, trying to get some, what do they call it, status builder? What's it called when you're chirping someone on Twitter to gain some likes for yourself? You're an idiot. Wrong cat, wrong squad, wrong fan base. If there's one thing we're good at, it's what happened 20 years ago, brother. Come on now.
I don't get it. And you know what? He should know better. He played around the he stayed a little while in the league, and that's just trying to start something. Won't start nothing, won't be nothing. He started something. Now there is something. So on behalf of all Redskins fans, he was my favorite player growing up, not named John Riggins, and I'll be the first person to say this, guys. And as we live and learn and move on in life, you know, the rankings change slightly. John Riggins still stays at the top for me. I've had the good fortune of having to get to meet him. We've had him on our show. He's fun. He's crazy. He's ours. Darrell Green was the same. What's that, G?
Iconic.
He's iconic. He's amazing. Darrell Green was up there for me as well. And if you want to argue 1 through 6, 1 through 7, I mean, Darrell Green's always going to be there. You know, Sean Taylor, you know, kind of moves up in there. You could maybe throw out a Russ Grimm or a Joe Jacoby over time. You kind of think back and
Art Monk.
Of course, Art Monk. And I guess, Kev, that's the point. I think for me, Art Monk really is ahead of Darryl Green on my totem pole. But that totem pole, again, you're talking about 5 or 6 guys. How do you rank them? But I think for me, over time, Art Monk has elevated above Darryl Green. But that's a conversation we're allowed to have because we understand that they're Hall of Fame great players. We're not trying to disrespect anybody or suggest that any of those guys don't belong in the conversation of greatest Redskin of all time.
No, that's my Redskins love triangle. I love all three of those guys equally. I think John Riggins off the field antics. I know it has nothing to do with football, but I think that might have elevated him. Only because you got to loosen up, Sandy baby. What did he say? I'm something. I'm broke, and I'm back.
Yeah.
What was it?
I'm bored. I'm broke.
I'm bored.
And I'm back.
I'm bored,
something like that.
I'm broke, and I'm back. And the bow. The final curtain call. I mean,
Not to mention,
on,
he came at the reunion game when they all were wearing the jackets at halftime at FedEx, and I can't tell you the year it was. It was like 2007-ish, something like that. I forget, but they brought out like the all-time team, and they announced all these guys, and we just got to see a lot of them play. Some of them were even too old for us to have seen play, but they saved number 44 for the end because they knew what was going to happen when they said his name. And all these guys come walking out in these awesome leather Redskin hero jackets, like the kind you just pay your last penny for. And they say number 44, and he didn't come out wearing this leather jacket that everyone would pay their last penny for. He came out in full game day gear, helmet, pads, jersey pants, cleats. He came all the way out, and I forget who it was. I want to say it was Theismann or one of the guys who was announced right before him, and it was probably Theismann who said, "John, like, what the hell?" And I think that he famously said, "I just wanted to hear that war one more time." And man, did we give it to him. We gave him every last bit of it when he came out in that field. It was that's one of the best moments as a Redskins fan at FedEx. In 20 years.
It only would have been totally complete if he took oxygen right after he ran onto the field, waiting for everything else to happen.
With a mohawk.
AGH is coming with some Gary Clark love. You, sir, will get no arguments from me, from anyone. If you want to love on some Gary Clark, he's cool, first of all, and he was great.
Too.
Is that T?
Sanders, too.
And, of course, Ricky, without a doubt. I don't know if Greg he's a London Fletcher, Chris Cooley guy. That's okay. We got no problem. I don't want any trouble as long as no one wants to talk about that idiot Deshaun Jackson, who's the other guy. I mean, we got a lot of news in Redskins land before we even had to talk about the news. And we don't have to talk about Deshaun Jackson. People are talking about what former Eagles who are fools this week, and Asante Samuel and Deshaun Jackson top the list. Leave it to Philadelphia to provide us with plenty of distraction from, probably some other conversations that we just can't avoid. I'll tell you what, guys. Let me get your temperature on the likelihood, of an NFL season. And we should just do this on a weekly basis. It's like in the age of COVID, you have to have temperature checks, right? Might as well have a temperature check on how we feel about whether there's going to be a season or not. T, lead us off. Is there going to be a season this year in NFL?
Yes. I don't know if it gets off right on time, but yes, there's going to be football in the fall. In the NFL. I'm not so sure beyond that.
Kev?
There's going to be a product.
Sorry, T, go ahead.
I think there's going to be a product put out. And I think it's largely going to be driven by dollars because that's what the NFL is about. I think that both college and high school, which shouldn't be about dollars, probably is at a much less likely spot to get anything going this fall. But like you said, it changes almost week to week, so we'll see.
Yeah. Kev?
Yeah, I'm with you. The NFL is going to figure out a way to get something out there. I'm not confident they get started the weekend after Labor Day, but you know what? There's plenty of time. And the NFL seems to make their own time. So if this got to be pushed back to February, they don't give a dang. they're the NFL. They're the monster on the block. So they'll figure out a way. And it might not be fans in seats. It might be Dan Snyder style, but there'll be football on fields at the NFL level.
Yeah, I know probably a lot of folks watching a Redskins show or a basement sports show might not be huge soccer fans. I am, and it's on. The high level, highest paid, best soccer players on the planet are playing ball right now. It's weird because some of the stadiums overseas are piping in crowd noise. Some of them are doing some of them actually are thinking it through and making the stands around the stadium that otherwise would have like 100,000 people watching soccer in Germany or England, and they're making it kind of look cool, and they've even kind of automated some placards so that it kind of looks, and they got a little bit of crowd noise coming through, so it's not like you're watching a practice. It's weird. It's still weird. But if they're doing it, I got to believe that the NFL is going to figure out a way to make it happen. Maybe I'll open up this other back end of the conversation, which is the NBA MLB side of it. It seems like we're taking one step forward, one step back. It doesn't seem like it's one step forward, two steps back, or two steps forward, one step back. It seems like we're spinning our wheels. One day I see a headline that says, we have a hard start date, and then the next time it's like, well, Mike Trout, doesn't know if he's going to play, or the Bucks are closing their practice facilities, or there's all this uncertainty. So I think for the NFL to play, we got to have baseball and or basketball get going in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if the NFL has the balls to put 80 guys in pads without there being any other professional sport played before them, because I don't know that the players will go for it at the end of the day.
Well, the NFL shelf life is a lot shorter than any other sport, so they're in more of a crunch. Some of these guys, running backs, for example, yeah, they get an extra year of no wear and tear, but there's no guarantees. And the NFL, I think they have the balls to try anything, Ken. I know what you're saying about the players, and I agree with you. The players might have to be the ones that have to rise up and say, listen, like Mike Trout said, I'll be okay when I feel like I'm 100% safe. Doolittle coming out for the Nats yesterday. They did a test, and it's you don't find out for 3 days, and they were supposed to work out that day. Well, there's no way you can go and work out without knowing that. That's just common sense, man. Yeah. So they've already botched that. So NFL leadership is in a position to also watch all these other franchises where they succeed and where they fail, and learn from them along this route, and try and convince their players association that everything's okay. It's gonna be tough, man. There's gonna be a lot of Zoom meetings on that bad boy.
Yeah. And AGH called me out for saying that 100,000 people would show up in England for I forgot, we got to get our UK order. The Wales, 100,000 people in Wales easily. In England, maybe not so much. I love what Doolittle said. Maybe that would be another thing to discuss briefly before we get to other news of the day, which is what was basically his statement. His statement was, sports is the reward for a functional society. I think that's kind of what he was saying, if not his exact words, which I love. First of all, I love Doolittle. If you don't like Doolittle, you're not going to like what he says. If you love Doolittle, you're probably going to like what he says.
That's what it was. That's what sports was back at 9/11. I think that's well said for what sports I think represented then. And we've talked about that before. I believe in what he's saying. I think rushing it back too early is dumb. At the professional level, when there's a lot of money at stake, professionals can make certain decisions about either not playing and whatever the repercussions that has on their compensation or not, and or decide, try to isolate themselves. And we've seen that the bubble hasn't quite worked, 100% already. But football is a TV game. They're not going to get hurt by nobody being in the stands. In fact, it may even help the sport. They need to have the sport in order to get that revenue from TV. So I think that's why we're saying they have the balls to try and make something work and make it happen. What really is going to kill it is when your quarterback room gets coronavirus.
Yep.
What do you do in a week's span? You have one kid, two kids on the practice squad that you got to throw in there at the end. I mean, what happens when you got to?
It's like
You got to be
Maryland.
prepared for a fourth.
University of Maryland threw out linebackers for quarterback. Maryland didn't play a quarterback at quarterback for like 3 years.
We got to be prepared for a fourth. We got to. There's a huge possibility of that.
Let's unplug the Sanchez phone before all this starts, please.
Yes. No. That and you know what? That's probably the most important thing that can be said tonight as a Redskins show, and that is there's no problem that can be solved by hiring Mark Sanchez to play quarterback for your team. That just should be like a commandment. If there was another stone, hey Moses, you need to etch one more, okay? You forgot one.
Far.
What's
That's
that?
going pretty far. That's going pretty far.
I don't think so.
That's
I don't think
low.
so. Mark Sanchez played quarterback for our team in an NFL game, and it was the low point of my Redskins fandom.
You just called Moses on Sanchez.
He's got a mom. He's got a mom, man. I mean, seriously.
That's true. That's true. Mrs. Sanchez, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry it was dog. Whatever, the dog that fit into the purse that he carried with the scarf in a FedEx field. Not sorry about any of that.
I'm not really sure if he has a dog, but I love it. It's great.
Oh, God. You know what? The shoes match the dog purse, too. I think I hate that the most.
Yeah, that was a tough one to take.
Mrs. Sanchez.
Tickets never worked.
He's just a bitter skinned fan, and you know. Just, yeah.
All right, so this is a good segue into the topic du jour because.
Why? Because I think fan.
Well, because we've been saying the name. If you guys would grant me just a teeny tiny bit of room, I wanted just to reiterate some things that I've written about over the years at Hogs Haven, which aren't, in my opinion, inflammatory by any stretch. I've been asked. I've only been at Hogs Haven for 10 years. 2009, January 2009 is when I took over, and throughout the entire time I've been at Hogs Haven, people have been present who have protested the name. And it's been all kinds of different people. It hasn't just been one certain segment of folk. It's been a vocal minority of people. And in my experience as a football fan, the Washington Redskins have been my favorite team and my favorite sport. And I think first and foremost, with the Washington Redskins have been a football, presence. I was born and raised loving football. First and foremost, I could give a crap what the team name was. I don't care. I just want to watch. I just always wanted to watch football. I'd watch any of it and all of it, and I do, every bit of it. I took umbrage at times with folks from other cities who protested the Washington Redskins name, but yet they were still huge football fans of their professional team. And I just would always point out, that's kind of weird because basically you're omitting the reality, the fact that the NFL is 32 guys. It's 32 billionaires. If the Redskins is bad for one of them, it's bad for all 32 of them. If you're going to protest a name, you got to protest the sport. Period. I thought it was pretty black and white. You can't be for the NFL and against the Redskins. The Redskins is the NFL. So that would be one thing that I always said. I understood growing up that the Redskins was a positive influence on introducing a different looking culture to me. And I didn't know Native American heritage or culture growing up in Maryland or metropolitan DC, and I wouldn't claim to be an expert about it at all. But I always knew that it must be something awesome because my favorite thing in the world was named after them. That was just what I thought because that's how I was raised. I've come to understand that there are people who have attributed the name to something negative, and I always was willing to listen. And I am and have been at Hogs Haven and our community of Hogs Haven, always been open to the conversation, should this be changed, and if so, how? What's the process? What should be important to that process? let's put a pin in that for 1 second, because that's an important thing. There's a whole other side of this. Dan Snyder took over the team 20 years ago, and he has proven himself to be the anti-Midas, the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything he turns to crap. 20 years of bad public relations have really led us to this point. If he, as the owner of the Washington Redskins, and as someone invested in the idea of what the Redskins stand for, wanted to prove that point over 20 years, he had a chance. If he, as the owner and the steward of the Washington Redskins' history and legacy, wanted to prove that it stood for something positive and had a positive impact because of that, he had a chance. He never ever took any of those chances. And he has single-handedly polluted the water in a way that otherwise would not have been polluted, in my opinion, had we not gotten to this moment in time 20-some years later in his stewardship. So I think that he is very much to blame. When he said, we will never change the name, you can put that in caps, that's when I was sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that our name would in fact be changed. He's absolutely made it an untenable situation, and what I am the most upset about as a Redskins fan and as someone who has covered the team and really brought my love of an organization with a name to my job covering the team, and that is, what the hell am I supposed to say about being 44 years old and loving something so much with all of my heart and all of my soul, and because of the sport that it was and the men who I idolized and adored? What the hell am I supposed to do about all that? Because Dan Snyder was a dick for 20 years, and he, in my opinion, has stolen that from us more than anybody else. And you know what? I'm gonna set it down just for 1 second. I got more to say, but I do not want to put T and Kevin on the sidelines for one more second, because this has to be a conversation amongst us all.
Go ahead, T-Bird.
Look, it's done. Get rid of the name. Get rid of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, because it's not even worth it anymore. What's the point? Why even defend it? It makes no sense. Nobody should die on that hill, right?
Nope.
Nobody should do that. What it should be about is what it's going to go. What it's going to be going forward. We're always going to hold the memories of being Washington Redskins fan when they were called the Washington Redskins. I'm ready to move forward. I just don't want to call them something stupid. I really don't.
Agreed.
I really don't. I won't even use the stupid name when they do. Why do you even need a logo? Why do you need a nickname? Why can't you be the Washington Football Club? Washington Football. Why? What do you need a mascot for?
That's true. You raise a good point. I mean, some of the most profitable sports franchises on the planet are just simply named after a city with an FC behind them. Of course, that being in the soccer leagues. The Real Madrid, the Barcelonas, Liverpools, Manchester. Those guys. I mean, they do have, technically they have mascots and names, but that's not part of their organization. To your point, T, they are the name of the city with a football club behind it.
And it'll be a first in the National Football League. I think that'd be a kind of a cool thing. There's only two other things that I would even consider. One is a suggestion of my own. Just call them burgundy and gold, the B&G. Keep the colors, take the logo off, leave it at that. Keep our history together. Just don't refer to the name. Get rid of the logo, get rid of the mascot. The other one is Kevin. Yeah, I'm not going to take it. But Kevin has the best idea, I think, of anybody if you're going to change.
Oh, I don't know. It's my little brother's idea. I recycled it. But I was going to say, just if we're getting it off our chest, 1952, my grandfather, anyone that's listening on here, I talk about it. I hope I don't do it too much. I love the man. He's a Redskin. My grandfather dealt with racism in the 50s as an Italian-American, parents off the boat. He dealt with it at a level I'm not certain of. I just know it existed. Being a Redskin, he didn't deal with that. Those were his teammates. Those were his brothers. The way I was raised, we saw these Redskins. It did not matter what the background, skin color, college. They were Redskins, and they were our heroes. It's a term of unbelievable joy and idolization for me. That's my experience. What I've learned throughout this quarantine, guys, and we all have together, is that it's not just about us. It's not just about my idea. It's other people have different experiences in this nation that we live in, from all types of different backgrounds, socioeconomic, racial, what have you, religious. Like T said, like Ken agreed with, I'm done. If it's ever going to happen, the time is now. This is the climate we're in. There's way too many more important things to stand on that hill and fight for right now, besides the name of our football team. So I think it would be petty to sit here and bitch and moan. It makes me sad, but I'm willing to embrace change. I'm willing to embrace a new name. I hope it's not something freaking terrible. And I will say this, and it's not a contingency. I just want to get this off my chest. This damn sure better mean that we move our boys back to the RFK site, or I'm going to be furious.
That's a given.
That it sounds like a given. It sounds like, and also, okay. So I agree with that 100%, Kevin, as well, and that kind of like gets me through the whole evolution of what I've written about for the last 11 years on this topic, which was, if it needs to change, let's change it. I don't care. It's a football team. I tune in on Sundays to watch my favorite players play football. I don't care what's on their helmet, what pictures on their helmet. I don't care what the name on the jersey is. I care that they play for my city, and I root for them. The idea that Dan Snyder has never meaningfully engaged the Native American community, man, he's done it so bad. I was at the game where he literally did like but I have a Native American friend, and he had like the one tribe's chief sitting next to him in his box, and we were literally in the stands. I don't know. It was a long tailgate, so but I remember my jaw hitting the floor.
Weren't they all long tailgates?
I was like, oh my, yeah, they were all long tailgates. But it was like, is this happening? Did Dan Snyder just pulled up? I can't be racist because I have a Native American friend argument. I mean, he's done this so terrible. He has done this so wrong, and it's over. It's so beyond over. The name's gonna change, and the arguing about it and fighting about it does nobody any good. I agree with you guys. I hope it's great. Hope they don't mess it up.
Please, no Warriors, no Red Tails, no Red Hawks, no stupid.
Yeah, but but the thing is, if it's the Red Tails, I got no problem with the. So we did a thing with the Washington Post. We did Warriors, Red Tails, and Renegades. My whole idea was just give me that gold helmet with the curly R from the 70s. I just thought that was the best helmet. So that means we have to be something R. Two of the Tuskegee Airmen were from D.C. I mean, there's
three of them.
There's
three of them. The first five.
Yeah, three.
Three of the first five that signed up were residents of Washington, D.C.
I mean, it's at least those are the it's so obvious and it's such low hanging fruit, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but here's what's happening, fellas.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind it's going to be the Warriors, unless there's another name that can hold up the Native American Indians in a positive light, that also has a military type scenario. I took a look at it, and you're looking at the Native American people, and you look back at their own involvement in the military over the years. It's unbelievable, guys. 44,000 of the 350,000 population fought for our country in World War II. And the overwhelming majority of those Native Americans said, when people asked them, why did you go fight for the country that took all your land and took everything from you and put you on a reservation? And they said, it's the big picture. That's how we look at it. This is our land. It always will be. Yes, the government did this, but many, many generations, this could change. That's a government thing. This is our land. We have a warrior mentality. We are understood to fight and give up our lives for our land. And there's a lot of good reasons for us to go ahead and support the Native Americans that I don't believe that we have been racially rude to, but if that's the case, then so be it. I'm not going to argue it, but I think that's going to be a factual thing. I don't think there's any way around it. Warriors, or Rivera said there was two names they liked. So try and guess what that other one is, and I'm willing to bet the house on it being one of those two, no doubt about it.
not so quietly, I think made moves to get Warriors going. I think they've had lawyers working in the background. It's probably been like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think the team has done everything in its power to get Warriors lined up. So I do think the leader in the clubhouse is Warriors, only because I do think that they have gone all over the place in the background trying to line things up legally to become the Washington Warriors. I think I just and Kevin, to your point, it's the right thing to do. If you've been trying to make this point the whole time that we're honoring the tradition of Native Americans, then yeah, then keep plowing down that road and work together with that community.
Even if they try to honor it in some way, it's going to piss somebody off. That's why I think you get away with it. You just get away with just get away from it. Get away from it.
Get away from it.
What do you need it for?
I'll tell you what, T, if Daniel Snyder reads what I just saw, that Native American people have the highest per capita involvement of any ethnic population to serve in the United States military. I mean, he sees this, and he's going to see instantly the connection that cleans up the mess that Ken just talked about a couple minutes ago that he left untended for so long. Yeah. This kind of wraps everything up in a bow for old Danny boy. And guess what? That butthole wins again because, that's going to be a big hit for the merchandise. Big hit.
Well, speaking of buttholes, that's the scratch off lottery ticket of.
I didn't talk about buttholes. Did you talk about buttholes?
Speaking of buttholes, all right. So let's play out like a positive scenario that has only something tangentially to do with the name change, which is our number one mission in life: to get rid of Dan Snyder. If he fights this, which he's stupid enough to do. He's stupid enough to do it. Let's just be honest. If he fights it,
he can't.
He is not that smart, T. He's got smart people around him. I think he's been looking for an exit ramp for the last year or so because he realized he killed his.
He'll be forced to sell the team then, which would be great. I hope he does.
That's what I'm getting at.
Because nobody's going to partner with him at all.
If he's forced to sell the team, that would be the huge win of this whole thing. In which case, every single fan of this franchise, anywhere on the planet, would take you. They'll let you name the team whenever you want. If we get rid of Dan Snyder, because that's the problem. The problem isn't our name anymore. The problem is Dan Snyder. Even if we get a new name and we still have Dan Snyder, we're still effed. So if he decides to get his feathers up, which people do think he's already doing. Now you have Shar, Rothman, and not Smith. Is it Fred Smith? The 40% of the Redskins ownership trying to sell. Word on the street is they are not getting any good offers for their 40%. And if that's true, if they start getting like indicative offers from investment banks on what their 40% is worth and what people would be willing to spend to buy 40% of the team, and that number starts going down, that all of a sudden translates the valuation to the other 60% of the team that Dan Snyder owns. Now you're talking about a guy who has single-handedly torpedoed his own ship to such a crazy degree that now you do have an opening where he puts his back up and the other owners say, screw you, we've hated you for 20 years, now's our chance, get the hell out. I think maybe 10 to 20% chance that Dan Snyder is still the owner of this team. I don't think he wants it anymore. Why would he? He destroyed the thing he grew up loving.
That's the question I asked. That's what I remember distinctly asking this question, and Kevin keeps having the greatest answer. This is so great. I think you're so crazy. I think you're right.
You cannot really get into the mind of an egomaniac of that level. Of that, you can't quantify the proportion that it takes for a man like that to walk around on a daily basis and be so blunt. The emperor had no clothes on, and his name was Dan.
Yeah. You cannot think that this man doesn't walk around thinking I've screwed everything up. How can I fix it? You think he's actually going around going, this is all freaking roses and
No, I think he's incapable of guilt or emotion.
Yeah, he's
I
impervious
think
to shame.
he looks at that bottom dollar and doesn't understand what everyone's so mad about because he's running in his mind a valued, successful business. You want to hear the most ironic thing? Not off topic, but just as far as all this, it ties everything together. As far as Daniel Boy and what he's doing, in 1924, the act that gave citizenship to Native Americans, the Snyder Act.
The Snyder Act. That's right.
Come on, man. Come on, man. If he does any homework whatsoever, he's going to be tickled by that. Guys with that amount of self-love cannot. I mean, we got a bunch of them in Washington. There's a bunch of guys that have these big, huge egos. We've dealt with it our whole lives. I think he's another one. And a lot of these guys wind up in jail or out on the street. I don't think he's going to wind up in either. He'll be on a yacht somewhere wondering what the hell was wrong with us, not what he did.
Well, he's bunkered up in that yacht as we speak, and he has sheltered himself because I don't think he can go out in public in this area anymore. I mean, I think there was a depression that had already been rumored to have set in last year before we all. I mean, if you want to know who was happy about the world getting shut down, it's Dan Snyder because he was already quarantined. He's been quarantined for like over a year now because he can't show his face because he's destroyed one of the things the city loves the most, that he claimed to grow up loving more than anything else. So
he's got a big glass of bourbon, a terrible tattered T-shirt on, some old school original jams, high burgundy Redskins socks, and yellow Crocs on that bazillion-dollar yacht of his, and he's shuffling his feet around, rifling it, doing whatever he can do to answer that next phone call. He's going to come out smelling like a rose, Ken. I'm telling you, this Ron Rivera thing really, really has helped his rating, I think, if he was a politician.
All Ken's missing from that description all Ken's missing from that description of the Crocs and the yacht, by the way.
two very big omissions, to be fair.
Very, very true. Very true. I mean, the obvious terrible part about the 40% minority ownership group trying to sell that they can't sell for what they want is now Dan Snyder could potentially buy it back for cheaper, which to me is like the twisted knife in the side. But I mean, we've done a really good job, in my personal humble opinion, of avoiding the name change topic on a regular basis. We could talk about it every week. I mean, people do. It's like it overtakes everything. And I wanted to always kind of draw a line and say, hey, listen, here's the deal. I love the NFL. We love the NFL. We love football. If you're going to be in on the NFL, then you're in on the name the Washington Redskins. If we can all agree that we're past the point in time where the name getting changed is even really up for debate. It's getting changed. The Washington Redskins are done. Go ahead, T.
Kevin, did you not want to mention the one that you put on a text message the other day?
I put it up there. My brother JD has been saying this for years. Call them the Pigskins, the Washington Pigskins. We can still call them the Skins and do all the hog stuff as well.
Your hog is your mascot.
Big old hog running around the field. But you know what, though? I said this to him on 4th of July. Everyone was being so down about it. 4th of July is my favorite. I didn't want to deal with anything negative. We'd already said no politics, no bullshit. Let's have some fun as a family. And we did have a great day. Redskins' name popped up, and I just said this. Picture sitting in a brand new stadium on the RFK site. A big game. We're all there. I don't know why, because it hasn't happened in forever, but we are.
Mark Sanchez isn't playing.
I said exactly. Just picture this. 3 years from now, Rivera's got us up and running. Brand new stadium. We're getting ready for the big game, and Warriors come out and play. And boom, boom, this, that, yeah. Like, there is a way to see positive. There's a silver lining as a football fan of the Washington football team. Just saying. I'm going to be open-minded is the point I'm trying to make.
don't like
I just will not be dragged into any argument that that it's kowtowing or playing to this or that for that someone has to lose for someone to win, or that if you're trying to win you have to find somebody to that has to be the loser. I hate all that business. Um, I love that the other 31 owners have been so successful in making Dan Snyder twists in the wind. I love that they've made this all about Dan Snyder. It's genius. There's 31 owners in the league who own a piece of the Washington Redskins who have successfully made this about Dan Snyder. This you don't it's not like opening a 7-Eleven where you go into a 7-Eleven and it's like this guy owns this 7-Eleven, this guy owns that 7-Eleven, but whenever you go into a 7-Eleven, it's owned by the mothership, all right? The NFL is
Well, then,
yes.
by your logic, Ken,
Go ahead.
by your logic, all 31 other owners should put the pressure on Snyder to sell the team.
Well, that's what I'm saying
Because
is possible.
That bad of an investment, all 31 owners should get together and say, you know what, you're out.
I've argued that for the better part of the last 10 years, that they absolutely should have. And not even because of the name. I've argued that Dan Snyder has single-handedly diluted product awareness and product loyalty of the sport in one of the top 5 media markets in the nation. You're talking about families in Washington, D.C. who have other shit to do on Sundays for the first time ever. That wasn't how we grew up. You didn't have anything else going on a Sunday besides NFL. And he's turned off an entire generation of football fans. Not from the Redskins, from football. That's why they should be telling him to sell, and that's why I do think they want him to sell. I think this is a cudgel for them, like a wedge, a way for them to make the argument. That's what ultimately this is the genius of that 40% of ownership, Kevin. These guys aren't just saying they're not trying to get rid of Snyder because they hate the name Redskins. They already bought the name Redskins. They're trying to get rid of Snyder. They're trying to get away from Snyder because they hate Snyder, and this is their chance.
But there's so many other distractions right now. If they had a little peace and quiet and time to go after that, that I think that'd be a different case. Right now, he's on the back burner and he knows it. And we're all being put on the back burner. And what am I going to do with this beefy body? How am I going to cover it in clothes when 1/3 of my wardrobe says Redskins?
I know.
I mean,
a hog would look great on you, dude.
Hey,
Hey,
this is a PG-13 show.
Take it easy, T.
My brother.
Take it easy. I don't even want to envision what you're talking about. What's going through your head right now. You already tried to weird me out earlier. Unreal.
T's getting weird. Just throwing hogs at people all across this.
Don't hog slap Kevin on Tuesday night in his basement.
A hog would look great on you, dude.
I don't want any hog slapping going on here. All right. Unless you guys want to talk more about the name change, I feel like we've
Yeah, let's do it. Like another half hour.
I want to ask you guys, and this is I'm going back to basics. Go ahead, T. Sorry.
I can't see the board. What's the board saying? What's the?
They're all over the place, but for the most part, I think they are. And apologize for speaking for this group of folks. I think there's a general discontent that that we've gotten to this point. I think there's a genuine fear that we're going to get it wrong, and I think that there's a general lack of support of Snyder. I think that kind of puts through. I think Glenn is on board with pigskins. I think Greg says the same. James Rainey he's just killing it tonight as he always does. AGH coming all the way from Wales. I mean, it's
can't always quote James.
I can't always quote James. But everyone knows where James stands. AGH, it's like 3:00 in the morning over there, and I don't know what he's like on his 8th coffee apparently, but he's still rocking his Redskins gear, and I don't know.
I don't want to be a bad guy to keep rocking my Redskins gear. I'm not trying to make a statement. It's what I own. It's the team I love. I don't want to cause any trouble.
I don't want any trouble. We don't want any trouble, Kevin.
Case in point, Wizards sucks as a name. Come on.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. They screwed that up.
Don't do that to the Washington Redskins organization and to their fans. Don't do it. I think they deserve better.
The Washington Wizards is, oh God, it was such
Call it the Washington Football Club. It's a club. You're a part of it, whether you're a player, an owner, a front office person, a back office person, a fan. We're all a club.
But
Call it the
If we had
Washington.
a hog mascot, I'd be all right with that. But that ain't gonna be
there
what
was
happens.
a indoor soccer team. I used to work. I didn't work directly for the team. I worked for the general. I worked for the front office. The Washington Warthogs. It was an
Warthogs, right?
indoor soccer team.
You
Yeah,
know,
but they were
and then
named after a
Peter's gonna
famous
come.
T-shirt that we all used to wear.
Yeah, they had great
Sorry,
gear.
collared shirt.
Watch out, Peter's gonna come after you next, though. So, whatever you decide, you're gonna get it from somebody's gonna be upset. Call it the Washington Football Club. Don't have a mascot. Don't give anybody a reason to get upset.
And get off the freaking lawn.
Get off his lawn.
It's a football club, not a cartoon, you butthole.
But hey, T, to your, I
I'm
still
good with
watch
that,
every
dude.
Wizards game. I mean, I still watch the terribleness of the Washington Wizards organization on a nightly basis. I've watched almost every game. I mean, I still watch it, and their name is terrible.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
John
But at least they
Wall,
went back to red, white, and blue, and they got rid of that crappy, stupid green teal color.
So glad they went
God,
back
the
to
purple, the
Don't
purple
change. Don't change burgundy and gold either. I'll have a really hard time. Can you
All right.
keep the color?
Hey, some of the women in my family were saying that's not exactly easy to match up for a Sunday game day outfit. Just saying.
Burgundy and gold?
In gold?
Yeah, they're saying they wouldn't mind a little red, white, and blue. I said, well, we got the Caps and the Nats, but
I'm
Hey,
okay.
just-
Red, white, and blue is great. My only problem is it's also Demathic colors, and that makes me sick.
really? Sick? The US of A. But no, burgundy and gold, we're the only people that make it look good. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
I would take it. I would do it. I red, white, and
I
blue.
want the burgundy and gold. I want the R, but the R is going to be gone and the W is going to be around. So that's my guess.
Yep. I mean, again, I'm biased because I've been able to wear all of my McNamara gear for the last 30 years to any Redskins game, and I was coordinated.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You're gonna have to turn those into muscle shirts for your backyard workout.
I'm gonna have to get some muscles first.
I didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, I got some work to do before I go right. I already got my Duff Man shirt on. Well, you know what? I tell you what. Speaking of filling out a T-shirt correctly, I do have a question for you guys tonight, and I'm trying to get back to basics. I'm trying to get away from some of the terrible. T wasn't happy with me a couple weeks ago. Cereal versus soup and all this other stuff, and so I just said, what if
Not
we
savory.
just got back to basics? And I asked you guys a simple question. Just a simple question. You're going into a deli. They got 3 sandwiches available. 3 and 3 only. Egg salad, tuna salad, chicken salad. Where are we going here? How are we making this sandwich?
As the grease man said, the tuna fish for the big men, small men, bulky man. You remember that?
I do.
I
do.
haven't said that in 30 years.
That's the beauty
Save it
of.
for 30,
what we
will
do.
you?
I'm a tuna fish guy.
Tuna fish. T?
I'm a little hearty. I want the chicken. I'll definitely take the chicken salad. Not so sure. You never know about the tuna fish or the egg salad. You don't know how long it's been sitting out.
Oh, but that chicken's been put away because everyone put the chicken away
I know.
first.
The chicken can hurt you the worst.
It goes faster than other things.
Now, I love chicken salad. I'm probably taking chicken salad in that endeavor, but I do not appreciate the hate on egg salad because I love a good egg. A good egg salad is as good as it gets.
I hate any of those sandwiches. Nobody should ever hate any of those.
I
know, but
I
people hate
agree.
on.
But I believe all 3 of those serve you well better if mom, wife, or relative made them inside the house.
Correct. 100%
I'm a
correct.
believer in that.
And no grapes or raisins in your chicken salad.
No, stop the madness.
Or nuts.
What do you do? The Waldorf needs to go do something with itself.
This is what I've been trying to get to, and I feel like this whole segment's been building to this. What the hell went wrong with chicken salad in this country? Why did people start messing with it? Why did people start making it terrible? Whatever happened to a simple, just a little chicken, little mayo, maybe a little onion and celery, and call it a day.
I think I know what happened, Ken.
What happened?
I think I know what happened. Just one wise ass husband was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna put my grapes in here," and next thing you know, we got like walnuts, almonds, and all sorts of charcuterie in the chicken salad.
You guys got to be a little bit more open. You can't be so closed off. You have to have more diversity in your choices. There's nothing wrong with
salad,
your
right?
standard.
Then all of a sudden,
Nothing wrong with your standard mayonnaise and chicken. Maybe even a little cheese, some lettuce, some sprouts, something like that. That's fine. Somebody wants to get kind of weird and kinky with their chicken sandwich, but it shouldn't upset you.
I'm upset.
Bro,
it upsets me.
Slathering grapes with mayonnaise is the grossest thing you could do to me. Those two things cannot collide in my mouth.
Slathering and mayonnaise is gross, so that's your choice.
I know, and that's why I express my thoughts and feelings. You chicken salad loving, open-minded.
I would eat questionable tuna salad before I would order the chicken salad that had any walnuts or raisins or cranberries or anything like that in it.
Don't eat questionable food. That's not good.
Well, this is an either or. You got to make choices. This is where we make hard decisions on this part of the show. We draw a line in the sand. Now,
yeah.
I'm building it up here. So no one here. I know Kevin. Maybe I got this wrong because I heard T say he wants some cheese on that sandwich. I would have cheese on all three of those sandwiches.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Go ahead.
No, T threw a hog off me earlier, and now I'm trying to get. Now he's mad at me about
hog slapped you.
I got hog slapped.
You got hog slapped.
But we're in agreement about everything except for he's a little more open-minded than me about grapes and nuts.
He sure is. We're going to defer to his expertise on grapes and nuts in general. But
only a hog lover would say that.
All right, so let's talk about bread because this is where the board's going, and the board beat me to it on their bread choice. I think the person who invented rye bread just did a disservice to bread.
Again, you're so closed-minded. I mean, what's wrong with you?
There's right and there's wrong, and rye bread is wrong.
I like rye
bread. Let him have fried bread. Why does that upset you?
Those caraway seeds, they hurt in there.
They do. They're painful. They're little.
I like it, but I don't love it. I'm good with it, but it wouldn't be a top choice. It wouldn't be a top 5.
Sandwich grenades, and they just get stuck in there, and it is. So, I think the big question is, and I don't care. You can multigrain, fine. Wheat, fine. White or sourdough, preferably.
Sourdough, baby.
Yeah, a good sourdough. Now, but what I really want to get here is, are we toasting this bread?
May I say it first?
Yeah.
If the bread is fresh and soft, no chance. If it's on the back end of its shelf life, I will slap it in the toaster.
Will you hog slap it in the toaster?
I'm going to hog slap everything now because I have to dish it out because I have to prove that I can take it.
That's true.
It depends on the mood, but more than just toasting it, I'm sometimes a melt guy for all three of those. Maybe not the egg sandwich, but it'll still work. Put it on the pan.
I've been known to do a melt. I've been known to melt some cheese on some shit.
Maybe you can take a little panini maker and squish that thing together and get it all nice and warm and pocket.
I found myself so I know like people are making bread and all this other stuff is going on in this pandemic shutdown, and I love it, and I hope that people are enjoying the hell out of making bread. But I think we're getting to the first month or two of this, everyone gets locked down in their house. We've gone through some recipes, right? We've tried some things. had to deal with some off-brand random ingredients that were available at the store because nothing else was. In like late March, early April, when you're shopping at 2 in the morning and the shelves are empty, and you're like, shit, I guess I got to make something out of this. But now we're past that, and now I think we are in the sandwich, like the golden era of the sandwich part of this pandemic, and then I think that's because of a couple of different reasons. Not the least of which is some of us are just done just making shit up, for a variety of reasons, on the stove, in the oven, blah blah blah. We got a lot of leftovers. There's just a lot of stuff now, just like floating around in that fridge, and that to me, that I feel like I've been preparing for this my whole life, making a sandwich out of what's available, and this is kind of where I was getting at with all this, guys.
Like Top Chef style.
Hey, listen, I've had some F minus sandwiches in the last couple weeks that I just did not hit out of the park even close, and I got to own up to that, and that's on me. I took a chance and I failed. Can of corn pop up to the shortstop, end of the inning, but I think that there's some situations out there, and I want to throw some stuff by you because I'm going to lead off. I'm going to bat lead off, but I want to ask you guys. I want to ask the board. If I'm right, I think you guys, and I think some of the people here, have made some kick-ass sandwiches over the last month in this pandemic out of things that they found in their refrigerator. I'm going to go first, all right? I did a grilled cheese with spaghetti and meatballs. Now, we had some spaghetti and meatballs that were left over. I had a heel and a slice of bread. That was the only bread I had, a heel and a slice of bread. And it had some white American cheese. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a grilled cheese with spaghetti and meatballs. And I will tell you right now, put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in the middle. It was one of the best damn sandwiches I ever made. It was amazing. Amazing. I never had one before in my life. I never even thought of doing it before in my life. Except I have 28 hours to think about it now in a day.
Never be afraid. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, you're going to screw up your sandwich.
You're going to screw up your sandwich. And now is the time when Subway was ahead on this, guys, when they came up with the idea of being a sandwich artist. And I think we're taking it to the next level. So I'm going to throw it out there. I got a couple submissions. Oh, tell me that's not the Deeren Brothers Barbecue fried peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Andrew, is that you? God love you. A peanut butter and jelly on waffles also, which is an amazing idea. Of course I'm going to try it, Greg. Are you kidding me? I have peanut butter and jelly and I have Eggo waffles. I'm going to try the shit out of that. You guys, T, Kev, any interesting sandwich contributions over the last month?
I don't know if mine's too original, but the best one I had, it was leftover meatloaf, mashed potatoes on buttered Italian bread, dipped in the gravy.
That's a sandwich.
Yeah, you don't get to be 6 foot 250 without dipping it in gravy when the bread is buttered.
Oh God, that's so good. Why did it take a global killer to get us to this point of sandwich goodness? That's the saddest part of the whole thing. T, what do you got?
Well, so normally I'd be all over this, but I'm sworn off bread.
This is the wrong time for that.
However,
okay,
my wife has come up with something that is close to her Mexican heritage.
Okay.
She had family. She still has family in Texas, so we'd like to do some sort of Taco Tuesday. But my kids don't really eat tacos. My wife loves to make, like soft tacos, but my kids, it gets messy. So she actually makes a burrito burger.
Ooh.
It's like basically burger size. Got the Mexican seasoning, meat, cheese. She wraps it up like a square burger, puts a little cheese on top, bakes it for a little bit. It's delicious.
That sounds amazing. And
that solves the old burger burrito issue. It
does.
Mush them together.
Now, I'll give you guys one more. First of all, AGH, he's got a spicy Italian with chilies. Greg Martin still pushing his warm waffles and the peanut butter. James Rainey is coming at us with a breakfast sausage, fried onions, a sunny side up egg, mayonnaise on white bread. I will try that, sir. That sounds amazing. I think that's next level shit. I love it. We had some ground beef in the refrigerator that was about to go bad, and I'm talking like on the edge, like Frank Costanza. Let's season this up and make it work.
Yeah.
Bad. It was on the edge. On the
meat.
edge. It
What's wrong with you? Questionable meat.
it was. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, just take it easy, hog slapper. The we had to make this meat today, right? I mean that day. It was like last week. So I had to make 8 burgers. It made 8 nice, good-sized burgers. So I took some Lipton onion soup, put that in there. Took some A1
Oh
thick,
yeah.
thick and hearty. Dumped about a third of a bottle of it in there. Put a little onion powder, a little garlic powder, a little salt and pepper. Mushed it all up. Made the burgers, right? Fried them up. Everyone had burgers. They were fine. Had 3.5 burgers left over because they were huge burgers. I couldn't eat them all. Next day, had these leftover burgers with some melted cheese on them because that's they were cheeseburgers. I fried up a pound of bacon. Took the burgers, chopped up all the burgers, cracked 7, whatever, like 8 or 9 eggs into a bowl. Whipped them all up. Put the chopped up burgers in. Chopped up the bacon, put that in, made this egg hash, and then on some sourdough toast with a little bit of cheese, bacon, cheeseburger, egg and cheese sandwiches. And I'll tell you something, that was a huge winner.
Why did you just call it a burger, bacon, cheese?
Or you could call it the Grim Reaper.
Oh yeah, no, it's not extending lives. This sandwich will not make you live longer.
And it's gonna kill your toilet.
One thing that I know Kevin thinks is this disgusting. Remember the fractured prune?
Oh yeah.
Remember the fractured prune? I used to go there and get their standard cake donut sliced that way, not sliced as a sandwich with egg, sausage, bacon, and cheese.
Okay.
It was delicious.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to call 911 just from listening to all this.
It was the best.
Kevin, I mean, and just so you know, Kevin gave me the greatest idea. Put some chicken in a slow cooker, let it go all day. Fork, split it all up. Man, you can make just about anything with that chicken, and it's delicious. Anything.
You do what you want. That shredded chicken, that'll keep for a couple days too. Little buttered bread, slap it on there. Oh boy.
I want to say a special thank you. What's that, T?
A lot of meat slapping going on.
Yes.
Hog.
Yes, meat and hog slapping going on tonight. I want to say a special thank you to all the guys and gals on the board tonight who made tonight fun. Appreciate you guys. Tuesday has come and been celebrated appropriately in this basement. Thanks to you guys. As always, couldn't do this without Tim Strachan and Kevin Ricka, so I want to make sure I let everyone know that on the top left-hand corner of your screen, he is Tim Strachan. And he does.
Listen, don't name it.
Don't name it stunts.
Let's go, Washington Football Club. If we have to bring out the Hogs, let's at least honor, the Hogs and the heyday of the Washington organization somehow, some way, that way. Just don't call them something stupid. Appreciate it. Do your own stunts. Don't forget.
We can all appreciate wanting them not to do something stupid. We agree. He is Kevin Ricka.
Godspeed, Dan Snyder. Please just rely on Ron Rivera would be my best guess. And hey, thank the guys on the board always. Love hanging out with you guys on a Tuesday. Let's keep the summertime rolling, man. It's been fun getting to figure out what we're at. It'll be great when we can do it together again someday soon.
Someday soon. That's exactly right. Appreciate everybody. Craig, the Hog Slappers as a team name. Obviously, you're next level. Obviously, the Washington Hog Slappers.
I can't wait for my T-shirt.
It was bound to happen. You, and of course, James. First of all, the fact that Greg beat you to that, James, that. You know what? You had COVID, so we're gonna give you this one. And people were gonna say, "Hey, James, you had coronavirus? Holy shit! What was the worst thing?" And you're gonna be like, "The worst thing that happened when I had coronavirus is that Greg effing Martin beat me to hog slappers for the team name for the Washington Football Club." Yeah, you're right, James. That's true. That's what happened. That's COVID. All right. Well, until next Tuesday night, the name of this show will be still. Thank God it's Tuesday. I'm Ken Marangolo. Love you guys. See you in a week. And we are still live until I walk over to that thing because Luke is gone.
Still live.
Still live.
But we might be on a Wednesday. That's so confusing.
Vic, take us out.
Later.
See you guys.